2026. Does anybody have any changes or concerns? Yes.
On page 4, 5A. Here really was talking about the regional plan, and it says MPO presented the regional plan. It was looking for NRPC feedback, not MPO feedback. The regional plan is an action of the NRPC.
Yep.
You might want to change that in 2 places there.
Can you repeat 5 what? I'm sorry.
5A.
Yep.
That's MPO.
Yep.
And then I have one more.
Yep.
So on page 4, under little I, 10 Have, I believe I said the school budget did pass, where it had not passed in previous years. Not did pass, it's did pass.
All right, thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
So on page 4, the section L, that includes my comments.
Yes.
I would add a colon between the 72 and 81 because there is no RSA 72 and 81. Not that they don't pass a lot of things.
It won't be the company.
Yeah,
So what's the actual RSA supposed to be?
72 colon 8.
72. Right, any other comments or changes? Yeah, you look like you want to say, yeah, Tim?
I will move to accept the amended the NRPC full commission minutes from June, no, not from June. No, what was it?
April.
From April. As amended.
I don't
Fill
have
in
a
the
first.
dates.
I have a first, do I have a second?
Sure.
Well, I'll let them decide who that was. All right, any other discussion?
There it is.
All right, all those in, roll call. All right, roll call. So who I believe is on roll call right now is Chris Constantino.
Yes.
And I believe William Rose is the river.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's go around the room. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Yep. Hi. Yep, next.
Aye.
Oh, we're missing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Will Lute, aye.
IOAOO.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Abstain, I wasn't here. Aye.
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 I
Aye.
All right. Got that. All right, next is item 4, the MPO Policy Committee. Am I handing this to Matt?
Well, we're going to. Yeah, we have a tip amendment and that's a public hearing, so we need to call that for.
We need to open the public hearing. All right. Say I open the public hearing at 7:08.
Great, so. Hey, William, can you see this?
I can.
All right, thank you. All right. All right, so we're going to talk about tip amendment 5 to the fiscal year 2025, 2028 transportation improvement program. All right, so most of you have seen this before. This is what we're going to talk about. The process so far. With this amendment, threshold, will remind you they are projects that are the local projects that are part of this amendment. There are only 3 of them today. We'll talk about the staff recommendation and then we'll discuss whether to adopt. I know you've all seen this graphic. I'm not going to go through it again, but just a reminder that what we're amending today is the 2020, is the TIP, the 4-year TIP. It is a component of those other plans. So the process so far, May 22nd, the interagency group met, and that's for MPOs, including NRPC, New Hampshire DOT, some federal and state agencies, EPA, Federal Transit, New Hampshire DES. So those are that interagency group. We talked about this then. NRPC had a 10-day public comment period, Friday, the 5th of June, day before yesterday. Last week at our technical advisory committee meeting, we discussed the amendment. And at that meeting, as a result of that discussion, there was no objection to you guys going ahead and adopting this. That's what we decided. And here we are tonight for the public hearing. Yeah, Will.
Yeah, were there any public comments?
Good question. No.
There weren't.
None of the communities, they acknowledged that they received the notifications, and at TTAC, there were representatives from Nashua and Hudson, and there were no comments, but that's a good question, and thank you. So there are various thresholds that trigger an amendment. I've highlighted the ones that are relevant tonight. So that's adding or removing a project or phase of a project, and a significant change in the 4-year total cost of the project. And if you wanted to, you could, there's a link there, and I think in your memo, that'll direct you to the full document on the DOT website that fully explains all the revisions. These are the projects. First one is in Hudson, it's project 44228. It's on Route 102, and it's basically a sidewalk project, pedestrian project, filling gaps between Ledge Road and Alvern High School, about 7,500 linear feet, and it can potentially include, crosswalks to be determined where, and rectangular rapid flashing beacons like you see around, and see a number of them on Main Street in Nashua, and some drainage improvements. So this project is being added to the TIP. And the reason is that the town requested their preliminary engineering phase has progressed. They're ready to move forward with that. So currently, PE is in 10-year plan in 2032. And the towns, again, they're ready to move forward, and they've requested
Drinking.
and the TIP in fiscal year 2027. So adding a project to the TIP, that's an amendment. Are there any questions about that project? Great. The next project is in Nashua, project number 10136A. It's on Route 101A between Salina Avenue and Somerset Parkway. So that's just east of what? Oh my God, I'm blanking on Continental Boulevard. Thank you. And it goes at Somerset Parkway is also exit 8. So that's the extent of the project. It could be, so its capacity, it could be widening, and also pedestrian and bike and transit improvements. So this project is being removed from the TIP, and that's to reflect the new draft 10-year plan, the changes that have been made there. And so PE was what was in the TIP is being removed, and then right of way, which is in the 10-year plan, doesn't show up until 2030. That's outside of the TIP. And so since we're removing this project, we need to do it. It is still included in the 10-year plan, it's just moving out. And the final project is in Nashua 44354. This is kind of a congestion management project to include traffic signalization and timing on Route 101A, 111, 111A, and Route 130. And so the proposed changes are to remove right-of-way phase from the tip, moving preliminary engineering to FY 2027, and decreasing as a result of removing that phase. The estimated cost for the 4 years is dropping by 33%. So this, and the reason for doing all this, it's a municipally managed project. And it's the construction or the project schedule is changing just to reflect the city's priorities. So this, so removing the phase requires an amendment, and a change from the amount approved in the current tip of more than 25% also requires an amendment. So those are the 3 projects. Are there any questions on that?
So the second natural project, that was originally a CMAQ project. Is at this point, is CMAQ just a source of funding and everything else is handled just like any other 10-year plan project?
Yeah, it will remain CMAQ funding. It's just.
Almost. The one difference is that it's not, if we get a CMAQ funded project, it's not necessarily added to the end of the 10-year plan.
All right, so here's our recommendation. The changes meet the air quality conformity requirements, and sort of a little wrinkle this time, these projects are actually, they're for the most part exempt from air quality conformity, and the reason is the sidewalk project in Hudson is a non-motorized project. It doesn't, implementing that project is not going to increase air pollution from motor vehicles because it's sidewalk. Also, the signalization project in Nashua is for congestion management. Theoretically, it reduces congestion at intersections and so forth, which improves air quality. So that's exempt from the air quality conformity. And then the project between Continental Boulevard and Somerset Parkway is not exempt, except what we're removing is the preliminary engineering, and PE phases are exempt. So that's the reason that we technically don't even have to do air quality for this. So action is required by this committee to adopt. And I think that earlier we consulted with all our partners and all with concurrence that this is an open thing to do. So that's our recommendation. And that someone could propose time out. So any discussion, and then we would close a hearing.
Anybody else? So just for process, do I close the public hearing if nobody wants to speak before the vote or after? Before?
Before.
Okay. So we have somebody come in. We heard about you earlier. Did you want to add anything or? Is there- Okay, just want to make sure you're all set. All right. So hearing no more discussion, then I will close the public hearing at 7:19. All right.
I'll move to recommend fiscal year 2025 to 2028 NRPC tip amendment 5.
Second.
Second. Right, last chance for discussion. So I will do a roll call vote. Chris Constantino? Oh, first of all,
Yes,
oh, you're making that motion that's up on the screen. I just want to make that. That's a suggested motion.
Yeah, I didn't say
Okay.
that, or I would
I
have
just
read it
wanted
out.
the
So
word
it's
right.
easier.
Okay, I'm sorry. So Chris, that, you can
yes,
see it on the screen, right? That's a yes,
yes, I can see, and yes,
right? William Rose?
There's pictures there.
William?
You're on mute.
Sorry, technical difficulties. I'm a yes.
Okay. I can't see the new person who joined it from this far back. Who's under the ribbon?
I think that's,
So it's Kate.
that's it.
Kate, okay, and then Salem.
Yeah.
Here,
Okay.
right? Yeah, okay, all right. So let's go around the room. Aye. Aye.
Will Lute, yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Great.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
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 Yes. Aye.
Very yes.
Joe,
Aye.
back.
Well, oh, hi, there you are. Hi, Joe.
Abstain.
Abstain. Right? That's item B. 2025 to 2028 tip, May and June minor revisions.
Right, so there's, you have a memo that, I think two memos, with June's minor revisions, similar again to the tip amendments, there are thresholds for revisions. For minor revisions, I should say, and those that are highlighted are what we're talking about. So again, less than 25% change in the 4-year estimate for the project, and the change in the fiscal year of any phase is 4 cents. And to note at the bottom, there are minor revisions, they're administrative in nature, don't require ETAC or this committee's any action, just for your information. So in May, there were several local projects. So Nashua 41586 is improvements to the Walnut Street Oval intersection. And what changed was the preliminary engineering phase increased by about 3% in cost. Also, the funding source for PE changed from surface transportation block grant areas over 200,000 to STBG flex, state flex funds. So a change in the funding source. So the reason for the change, it was just the newest project cost estimate, and DOT, when that happens, DOT, they sometimes have to modify the source of the project funding to maintain constraint, and so on. So that's a pretty standard catch-all for when they're doing these minor adjustments. So anyway, the analysis is that a change in the total project cost and adding a new funding source requires a minor revision. And if anybody has questions along the way, just let me know, and otherwise I'll keep moving. Right, so that was the only local project being revised in May. There were some statewide programmatic project changes that may impact our region. So the program that's maintenance and preservation of high investment bridges that increased construction funding in fiscal year 26. The Sagamore Bridge would be an example of a high investment bridge. And then also the culvert replacement and rehab program increased in FY 26. PE and construction funding increased in that year. That was May. In June, this month, so Brookline 40662, which will be improvements to the intersection of Old Milford Road and Hampshire 13. Final design to be determined. PE funds are being shifted between fiscal years, but there isn't any change in the total cost of the project. Again, DOT's new project estimate, they had to move funding around and make adjustments and maintain their constraints. Again, kind of administrative. So shifting funds between federal fiscal years requires a revision. Which is the Everett Turnpike widening, project 13761 in Nashua, Merrimack, and Bedford. The right-of-way phase from 2025 was still lingering in the tip. Obviously, FY 25 is gone. So that phase is being removed, and that changes the total project costs. by about 15% downward. And so a change in the funding estimate and moving phases between fiscal years, again, requires a revision. By the way, that project number is just includes engineering and right of way. It's not the actual construction of any of the improvements. Those are different projects. In Pelham, project 29450 is on Old Bridge Street, rehabbing the bridge over Beaver Brook. The engineering estimate in FY26 is dropping by about 0.5%. And the right-of-way funding in 2026 is changing from SB 3674 cents to state aid bridge. And again, the funding estimate is being adjusted to reflect the new project schedule. And again, changing the project cost estimate or changing the funding source requires a minor revision. Also in Pelham, 41751A, this is construction of a roundabout section of Mammoth Road and Marsh Road. The construction phase is moving from 2026 to 27. Federal share of construction has increased, but the other phase, which is called other, one of the other phases is decreasing. So the overall project cost is not changing. But the source of funding is being adjusted. The carbon reduction program, which has been repealed at the federal level, was funding part of this project. That's gone. So that's being removed, and CMAQ and town funding is remaining in this project. So again, changing the funding source, shifting funding between different phases requires a revision. So that's all local projects, and there are some programmatic and statewide changes. So the culvert replacement and rehab program is changing again, shifting funds between fiscal years, no change in the project estimate. The highway safety improvement program, they're decreasing preliminary engineering and right-of-way funds, and increasing construction in the other category. No change in the total project cost. So that's that for the HTIP program. Then the statewide pavement marking annual project. They're adding highway safety improvement program funding to the construction phase. Again, moving funding among different programs they can do. And the last two are the railroad, the reconstruction of statewide railroad crossings and associated work. They're shifting construction phases, funding between fiscal years, and then the statewide underwater bridge inspection program. Again, they're shifting funding sources between fiscal years. So those are all the minor revisions. Are there any questions on this?
Yeah, just a quick one, because I know I'm going to get asked tomorrow night for 40662 in Brookline. The PE funds are shifting from fiscal year what to fiscal year.
I don't have it here. I will. Let me look that up and I'll let you know before we're done.
Okay, super. Thanks.
Yep. But that's it on the. And thanks to Emma, help me out on this.
Oh, that's good.
Inspect a bridge that's underwater.
Hold your breath a really long time.
Yeah, I think probably. I'm not sure which bridges they're doing that to around here.
It's like a failed bridge if it's underwater. I truly do not understand that.
Well, abutments are often.
Underwater bridge inspection. Oh, okay, so things that are holding it up. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
part of the bridge that's under.
Yeah, we run a statewide
That's
program.
twice
We run a statewide program that involves setting up dives to specifically inspect the structural components of bridges.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you, William.
It's rolling through so much traffic.
All right, yeah,
There's one underneath.
Go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah. I have one quote. Remember in the spring, there was a lot of letters going back and forth between that, that program that took the Wilton, Milford, Amherst, Bedford piece out of the tip, I believe. Is there any status update to that? Because there was a lot of work that went in.
Yeah, it's still, it's a 10-year plan project. So I think it's.
I mean, I think we did express our concern and our opinion, and I think there was a hope that, there would be legislative action, but it did not happen.
Yeah, I think there was talk of increasing the tolls of out-of-state users or, traversing,
Right, and we can talk about that in a second, that with the 10-year plan, we're gonna give an update on the 10-year plan
Okay.
process, but that piece of it didn't make it.
Oh, it was voted down?
No, it's
Oh.
just I think there was an effort on the part of some of our representatives from our region to amend the legislation to include advancing that project. I wasn't a fly on the wall, but it didn't advance. There's a lot of horse trading that goes on, and I guess that horse didn't make it.
Good.
Any other discussion on that item?
But we don't have a sales or income tax.
Be hard. All right, next item. 2027 to 2036 10-year plan update.
Yeah, if you guys don't mind chiming in, I think, so there's a couple things that are going on and some of it might seem confusing. So we have sent letters out to all the communities, so if you guys want to touch base on that. We are now doing outreach related to the upcoming 10-year plan. We also recognize that that's happening when we still don't know what the status is of the 10-year plan that is now pending, unless William heard something today that we didn't hear. And I'm guessing that's.
Yeah, I haven't heard any updates. It has been enrolled in the legislature, and so we are now waiting for the governor's decision on how she would like to proceed.
So, and Emma, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know you were fine with the legislation. Are you able to give an update as to what exactly came out of, the joint session and was enrolled?
Yeah, so I think that they agreed on what had passed through the Senate, and the Senate had amended to the 10-year plan bill, the toll increase for non-New Hampshire Easy Pass users. So it had the separate bill for the toll increase had passed in the House earlier that day. So the Senate amended that increase to the 10-year plan. And then they said, since that funding would be available, would increase for the turnpike, then they could use, I think it was around maybe $60 million that they could dedicate to adding a few regional projects back in. So the one from our region that was added in this amendment was the Ledge Street project in Nashua, which had been the top regional priority in the last in our most recent process. So we're waiting to see. So if the governor signs the 10-year plan bill, that includes the toll increases. So we're waiting.
Didn't the governor say she was gonna veto it?
At one point, she had said that about the separate bill. So
now it's
Vetoing everything. That the increase in costs.
we'll see.
So you're saying the reason it's combining the hike of the toll for out-of-staters with the plan?
Yeah.
They're coupled together.
Right.
So if she's really upset about the raise on the toll, okay.
Right.
All right.
And then I actually don't know what happened. And William, I don't know if you can answer that question or want to, but if the 10-year plan is vetoed, what happens?
Federal
That's
funding.
That's a great question. We haven't seen that happen in anybody's recollected history since the 10-year plan started in the 80s. So we'll see. But just to be clear, because I think it's a feather in the cap for the Regional Planning Commission process, the Senate Transportation Committee actually included the top regional priority for all 9 regional planning commissions in recognition of the work that had been invested by the regions around the state to identify projects. And that money is coming from turnpike adjacent projects that we had allocated federal funding for. There's several bridges as part of the Bow Concord project. And there's also the second southbound on-ramp for exit 6 in Manchester. We have a safety improvement project slated for that, and that was going to be federal aid funded with the increase in turnpike revenues, as Emma mentioned. That frees up, it's actually closer to about $86 million in total. And so we were able to add projects using federal dollars freed up from the increase in turnpike revenues.
And if I recall correctly, I think exits 6 and 7 came back in. Is that true in Manchester?
They have been added back to the 10-year plan, but they are still not fully funded.
Who do we have to thank for chasing down those federal dollars? DOT?
It was the department that identified that those funds would be made available, yes.
Great.
Thank you, William. So the process that's happening now is different than what has happened historically in the past. For the coming 10-year plan, what we had typically done is we've gone out to all the communities and kind of asked for what are, essentially new priority projects, confirm old, but also what are your new priorities that we would look to add to the 10-year plan. And we kind of, I think for those of us who've been around for a couple of years, the process that we go to, it's a 2-year process. We solicit the projects, we put them through, cost review, engineering review, make recommendations to DOT, moves on through the process. So given the financial constraints that the 10-year plan is under, we're not going to be doing that this time around. We are not soliciting new projects into the 10-year plan. So instead, what we're looking to do, we do want to have a conversation about new projects that are out there for our long-range plan, but not for the purposes of the 10-year plan. What is going to be key is for projects that are currently in the 10-year plan, what we want communities to do is confirm those. Are those projects still priorities? If not, there may be an opportunity to substitute a new project for one that's already in there. Because if something isn't a priority and it comes out, that does free up some dollars. So that's the conversation that we're going to be having. It's clearly a very different one.
Was that in that email? I don't know.
Which email?
I don't think that.
Because I didn't read the email that way. That's why I'm asking. That's the email that went out to commissioners and representatives and communities soliciting information about the 10-year
That's what we're
plan.
talking about.
So Jim's asking what was what I just said in that
No,
letter.
really.
So
Well,
that
It says we're starting the process again. It
Okay,
didn't
so-
say that it would be to,
I guess our letter wasn't sufficiently clear. That's what the
Now we know.
process is.
So,
Okay, I'm missing something, but
Jay, where is that coming from? Is that across all the RPCs?
That's
Is
all
that,
the RPC. So, and again, William, correct me if I'm wrong.
from
Right, that's the
I'm
guidance
asking
we've
Jay
received. That's the guidance we've received.
from New Hampshire DOT?
Yes.
okay, I thought it was fairly clear, but I guess maybe not. So
But if it
we,
wasn't, we'll make it clearer.
It is in there.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it's there.
it says your community's opportunity to ensure that funds go towards your priority projects.
Read the attachment.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't read the, Tim, and I apologize, I did not read the attachment. I just read the
nobody paid
email.
either, obviously.
It's in the attachment.
It's in the attachment. Okay.
So that's where we're at. More to come.
And in the attachment, does it say that this is under the direction of guidance from the Hampshire DOT?
I think so.
I have to open it back up again, but
Okay, I'll go through it.
yeah, there's a lot of words there.
It's town specific.
Well, sure, because,
But we like everybody to feel included and, all our towns are equally important to us, so.
So just for my own clarification, so it's waiting, it's already been passed through the House and the Senate, but just awaiting, it's on the governor's desk.
yes.
So we don't meet for another, August, trying to come back, at least the executive committee, right? So what happens if in the next month or so, not that we have, just for my own idea, if she says no, we're in that uncharted territory, right? What do we do at this point?
It appears so.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows, okay, that's all right, that's fine.
But we're at the legislative process part of the whole 10-year planning process. And it was a bill and it went through both chambers. It was approved, it's now submitted to the governor. You would expect the bill, if vetoed, would be subject to a veto override.
Yes.
If they
Or some other negotiation process that generates a new one. Right?
For the governor. to
Separate
not
those
sign
two
that
items
half
together.
without signature.
Have
Oh,
that
like-
signature.
It could come
And the
to us.
plans, right?
And so just to circle back. That whole legislative process and that. And your plans. Whenever hopefully it becomes law. And what Jay and what we're talking about, I'm sure we all are on the same page. Our email is about the next 10-year plan, start the process. It is confusing because at any given time you could have like right now, we have the current one, got the draft plan, which is waiting for signature, and we're talking about the next one. So we're literally sort of involved with 3 different.
30 years out.
implementation, right? So it's definitely confusing.
It's confusing. But at least we know we have the one that was approved.
Right. Any more discussion on the 10-year plan update? No. Right, item 5, annual business meeting. Okay,
So hopefully everybody has a packet. If not, there are some in the back of the room. So I'm gonna,
they're all gone.
they're all done. Does everybody have a packet?
I do.
I have. I have to go.
Get an answer.
So I'm gonna walk through the proposed budget. As I move along, if anyone has any questions, just stop me as we go.
Did someone else need a packet?
So if everybody is there, we're looking at the FY 27 proposed budget. Just a few comments going into it. This is a really tight budget. We are more constrained on funding sources than we have been, and a good reason for that, a major reason for that is some of the funding sources that we've had over the past few years, some of the grants that we've had the benefit of have gone or are going away. And so that definitely has a budgetary impact when coupled with increased costs. And sometimes that's not so obvious as I walk through this, so I'll try to kind of explain it as we go. So the very first item under revenues is local dues. You can see there's a $5,289 increase. That reflects the 3% increase that was approved last year in dues. So small little bump up there. Next, under federal contracts, all of the ones that you see here are EPA brownfields grants that go into our brownfields program. I take it back. The first one was regional plan. So the regional plan is almost complete. So that's why you see a significant, in the difference column, obviously, if it's in parentheses, that's a reduction. So that's the reason for that significant reduction. It's just most of the funds have been spent. The first EPA brownfields item, this is our EPA brownfields assessment grant. This is the grant that we were awarded in 2022. And so those funds have been almost entirely spent down. That's a good thing. That's what we want, but that's why you see a big reduction there. Next line is the new EPA assessment grant that we received in 2025. And so you do see a bit of an increase there. That's just because that's a newer grant. It's multi-year, but this is what we're anticipating will draw down. And then finally, the EPA revolving loan fund grant. That was a very large grant that was received by the NRPC Foundation. And this is the amount that we anticipate we will draw down. NRPC administers that, so that's what we anticipate we'll be drawing down. I will say the 24,000 that was shown last year was the entire amount available. So that was really shouldn't have been in there as a full 24. That's why you see a reduction there. So total federal contracts are down almost $75,000. So that's a pretty significant reduction. Moving on down to other grants, some of them are that you see under the proposed line are new. So we did receive a new $75,000 grant to do the next phase of the watershed management plan for Robinson Pond and Hudson. That's really, really great. We're happy to see that. Most of that is passed through. Most of that goes to an engineering consulting firm that will be hiring to do the actual work. We do have a new multi-year grant for the Stream Crossing Navigator program. So that is really nice to see. That'll continue to future years. And today, the Solid Waste District did approve a small increase of $3,000 to the funds that go to NRPC for administering the household hazardous waste program. So overall, there's a pretty good jump, $79,000 jump in total grants. Just keeping in mind that most of that is passed through. It's, we don't realize it for using for salaries, et cetera. Moving on down, we have local.
HA.
Yeah.
So under other grants, the last line, 20,000 for the upcoming fiscal year, is that a hope and a prayer?
It's a what we would consider realistic hope and prayer. So what Kate does is go back 5 years and say, we've always got grant applications in. What is the average for the last 5 years? That's how we got that. So yes, a little hope and prayer.
Okay.
There's a few $1 million in grant applications out there, so something we think will come along. Usually does. So moving on down to local planning contracts. I'm not going to go through all of these in detail. A lot of the projects are for a 1 year or 2 year, and so we spend them down. They go into, so that's why you'll see a decrease. The biggie, though, to my earlier point is some of the projects that we've had funding came out of ARPA funding or CARES Act funding, and that's really what's dried up. So things like the HOP grants, those are really great. We've worked with 2 communities on those, but that funding is disappearing. That's ending. And so that's why you'll kind of see those. But again, unless somebody's got a question, I won't go through them all. Very similar. There are always additional projects that we pick up over the course of the year. And so that's the very last item. Yes.
I'm not sure, is this 2361 MBDG is that referring to the Merrimack Village District?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Merrimack Village District contracts with us for GIS support work.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
So since I had the privilege of serving on the executive committee, I know there was discussion relative to the rates we charge for circuit rider.
Yes.
And given our increased costs, have we made adjustments to those rates going forward with these communities?
We have, and we will going forward. Although I think significantly, as those rates get adjusted, most of the time, the budget amount does not change. So it just means fewer hours. It doesn't increase the line.
Gotcha.
So overall, we're anticipating a net reduction of about 32,000 in local planning contracts.
That's affecting your bottom, or that's for staff. Most of those dollars would be.
That's right. Those are almost entirely going to salaries. That's right. Other income, again, it's always a projection, but we are projecting a drop in interest income because interest rates have gone down. So I'm gonna flip over now onto the next page.
Okay,
Yes.
what's the line, I guess, below interest income is NRPC Foundation, 2,000 to 8,000?
So NRPC Foundation, I think as most people know, NRPC does have a foundation. It's a separate entity. We do provide staff support for that. And so we are proposing an increase in the staff support. This year was $2,000. We're proposing to increase it to $8,000. And that's based on what our past history has been for what it actually costs.
And that hasn't been approved yet, or
That's right.
nor has it gone to the foundation
That's
for
right.
review.
So we are putting it in the budget. That's correct. So this year we were about $16,000 in the red, essentially. 6,000, I said 16. So turning the page is what we see at the DOT, it says DOT highway planning. So this is our DOT funding that supports a lot of the planning work that we do, transportation planning work that we do. That is a 2-year contract. So we this year we're in the first year of that 2-year contract. Next year we'll obviously be in the second year of that contract. So this is our best estimate of what's going to carry over from this year to next year in each category. So again, we can talk about different line items, but the bottom line is that we anticipate about a $27,500 increase for next year. That's because we didn't spend that amount this year, so it carries over. So it's not a increase in the total amount of funding available. So overall, total resources are projected to increase by just over $4,000. Again, keeping in mind about $70,000 of our total increase is actually contractual increases. So you'll see that as we go down in terms of costs. Again, in an effort to try to control costs, probably the biggest changes that you'll see are capital expenditures. So we are proposing to drop those from 20 to 10. That's mainly traffic counting equipment. A lot of these other items are relatively small adjustments. Those are based on either changes that we know are coming or what we anticipate. So most of these are relatively small changes as we go down. The biggie, again, I've kind of harped on it, but you'll see the $72,000 increase in professional services. That's the contractual services for engineering that I mentioned earlier for Robinson Pond, and also for reviewing projects that may be presented as part of a 10-year plan process. So again, that's in essence, that offsets, that $4,000 is kind of offset by that increase. Moving on, yes.
So just you know how far on you were gonna go. So next line down.
Yep.
from that, are we expecting staff changes? Are there?
That's where I'm going next. So yes, so we are seeing a pretty significant $60,000 reduction in staff. So that comes from two places. That comes from we have a full-time position that is now vacant. And our intent is to replace that with a part-time position. So that's a significant chunk of that savings. Staffing wise, we think that works. But end of the day, less revenue, less staff time, less demand on staff time. That always doesn't line up perfectly, but so that's where you're seeing that. We also have an employee who is essentially a contractor, who is part-time, fully remote, is not in the office at all. It's a fairly small position. So we do propose to eliminate that, bring that work, which is transportation related work, in-house. So that's what accounts for that $60,000 decrease on the salary line. Obviously, that's pretty significant. And moving on.
Wait, question?
Yes, go.
So by bringing the modeling process in-house,
Yes,
are those billable hours under some contract?
yes. It's a line item in the UPW, under.
In the UPWP? Okay, thank you.
And then I'm assuming we've had enough time to train our staff to handle the model.
We're actually not proposing to go to zero on that part-time position. We're going to partially fund it for 6 months, anticipating that there'll be ramping up.
Transition.
Yes, ramping up in training.
Do you anticipate with the changing of work, any skills mix issues where we might need to train current staff to assume some of the newer projects or vice versa, right? Follow me?
Yes, not really at this point.
Okay.
You know, in the case of that particular, you know, the modeling, we have somebody on staff who has capacity, has capability, still needs training, still needs onboarding, but we think that that's something that we can do. And, you know, in terms of the part-time position or the full-time position that's going part-time, we're very confident that we can sort that. With a staff of 13 people, you're always balancing and, you know, do we have the skills? So that's always something that is a challenge, but we're pretty comfortable that we can make that.
Yeah, because there is a decreased staff development as well. And
Yes, there is.
just wanted to make sure we didn't have a skills mix issue or whatever.
So bottom line, you'll see that making with these reductions, there would be a net positive of $4,145. That's actually not a net positive, because if you go up to the line item that says reserve fund, typically what we've tried to do, like last year, we had $7,400 going into our reserve fund. This shows just about $9,000 coming out of our reserve fund. So it's really a net deficit of about $5,000. We're pretty comfortable that we can manage that. But so this budget doesn't show a net positive. It actually shows a net negative of about $5,000. But overall, we think we can make it work.
Jay, I don't think it's out of turn move there with the rest of the commissioners here who represent your member communities, that the change from a full-time to a part-time is actually within the finance department.
Yes.
So it's not a planner on that side of the work, if you will. I think that's an important factor. And the other piece is that some of that work will be allocated back to Kate for some of the higher end. So just to understand what's happening behind the scenes, I think is important too.
That is a good point, because that is what we're doing. So essentially, you know, Kate has been our finance director, and so she will be assuming basically the higher level functions on the finance side. And what we'll be doing is bringing on a part-time bookkeeper to handle things like actually paying bills and payroll.
Which is the same model we tried to use before.
Which is
With
the
the
same.
part-time
model we did.
bookkeeper.
That's exactly right. Before Kate came on board, as our full-time finance director, we had a part-time bookkeeping position essentially. So that's the model that we'll be going back to, and we think we can make that work.
Will you?
Yeah, so how many staff does that represent, that 2,000,007? So what is your staff
It's
level?
13, but that also includes part-time, so 12 FTEs.
So 12 FTEs, and that's, what was it this past year? It's about the same.
No, higher, because we're going, a full-time position is shifting to a part-time.
Right. Okay. So about 12. And just another minor request. I always ask, would you mind putting 1 through X on the left-hand column? It's just easier to follow if you go,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
line 22.
Yeah.
And you don't have to fumble around.
That's a good
I
idea.
mean, I appreciate that.
Any other questions on the 2027 budget?
And just to note, I think as many people are familiar with, even though staffing is going down, benefits are still going up in the
Anyone else? I don't see anyone's hands raised on the, yep.
I'll make a motion to recommend that the full commission approve the NRPC fiscal year 27 proposed budget.
First. Second. Second. All right. Any more discussion? All right. Roll call vote. Chris Constantino. Chris,
Yes, I'm good. Sorry, I couldn't find my mute button.
Is that a yes or no on the?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
We also have Jason Hennessy on Zoom.
Oh,
He's online now.
okay, Jason,
He
Yeah.
jumped onto the screen.
that's a yes, all right.
I saw him then.
William
He
Rose,
was here for part of it and now he's on Zoom.
is Williams gone?
Williams jumped off.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Aye.
Check, all right.
Aye.
Yes. Aye.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye. Yep.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Very yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Good.
Next. Annual grant and contract authorization.
So this is a standard authorization we do every year that essentially authorizes us to apply for grants.
I'll move as proposed.
Say that again?
I'll move as proposed.
Okay, thank you. Second.
Second.
Two seconds. All right, first and a second.
Thanks, guys.
All right, roll call. Any other discussion though? All right, Chris. You see the proposed motion on the paperwork?
I'm sorry. I guess I lost. Didn't I just vote to approve the budget?
Yeah, we're on the next item, which is the
Grants and contract.
allowing Jay to sign, the annual
Oh,
grant.
oh, sorry. I missed that.
That's okay.
Yes, I approve it.
Right. Jason.
Yes.
Yeah. Good, Jim.
A hearty yes.
Yep.
Yes.
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 Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Aye.
All right. Setting of the fiscal year 2028 dues.
Everyone should have a spreadsheet in your packet right after the annual grant contract authorization. So the way, just for a refresher for those who don't know, the way NRPC does the dues is it's a formula based on the population of each town, the percentage that makes up of the region, the equalized valuation of each town, and the percent that makes up of the region. It's 2024 because that's the most recent year we have estimates for both items. And then you kind of see the combined. So that's how the formula works. And then what you see are three alternative columns. Not that those are the only three, but those are the three that we've done. So the first one, you can see there's the adopted FY27 dues in the light green. And then next to that, you see what would it look like level funded. And so level funded, you're still going to see slight differences from town to town. And again, that's just based on the changes in valuation and population. So that is the first column essentially that you see. The next is what a 3% increase would look like. And then again, you see what that difference is for each town. And then the last column is a 5% increase. And once again, you can see the total and then what the difference would be town by town. And anybody from the executive committee wants to speak to it, but the executive committee did make a recommendation.
The executive committee voted 8-1 to recommend 5% increase. It's a very tiny amount of money. When you look at the big picture, last year, both the executive committee and the full commission kept the dues level funded. And this year, in the fiscal year 27, federal government is looking at 3.8 or 3.9% cost of living increase. And the executive committee has been struggling with what we were just talking about in the budget department with not balancing the books of the business here. And so this would be for 2028, and our recommendation is that you guys approve a 5% increase.
Well, Tim, did you say that starting in July, there was no increase? Is that what we voted last year?
Last year,
Funded?
last year, 3%. I'm sorry, I misspoke, 3% last year.
So you made a level funding assumption for the budget.
No, this is for FY 28. We always are a
This
year in
isn't the next
advance.
budget.
That's 27.
The budget we approved was FY 27, that is the 3%.
Got it.
And we do, it's a little confusing, but we always do it a year in advance so that towns can plan for the budgets.
Well, thank you.
And as you saw, a lot of our grants are going away. So it's for a little bit from the towns.
In order for all of us to be able to pick up the telephone call and call in our question.
Right.
Did you discuss a 10% increase?
Did not.
No.
Your grant rating.
Does anybody have any questions or want to discuss it or?
So, guess I have two concerns. Obviously, the big increase with cost of living for everyone going up, so seems like 3% might be more appropriate. And I've always had trouble with the formula being based on equalized valuation instead of just on population terms.
The formula does both, right? And you would like to see it do one or the other?
Just population.
Just population.
See hand raised. Oh, there's one. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm in agreement with the 5% increase. Excuse me. Because I think there's a lot of added value that's hidden with NRPC. I know whenever I look at our town, I mean, it's increased a little bit, but I think the added value that we get from NRPC is really, you have to weight that somehow. Because I think we get a lot of value out of more than what we're actually paying our dues. So I appreciate that. So I full-heartedly agree to the 5% increase.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
Tim.
Jay, can you, just to reiterate where the majority of the fund really goes?
Can you speak up a little bit?
I'm asking if Jay could just reiterate for the full commission and for the minutes, where is this money typically used, these dues dollars?
So the majority of the funds used go to match other grants, federal grants. In particular, obviously the largest being the DOT funds. So we match that at 10%. So if you are looking at the budget, that total amount of DOT funding, we have to match 10% of that. So that's the biggest. We do have some other grants that also require match. So largest chunk goes there. The balance of it goes into kind of 4 buckets. So one, it funds tax mapping for those communities who take advantage of our tax maps. So it goes there. And some of the GIS work that we do that isn't related to a contract or other areas. We also do provide local municipal services. So a small service that the community wants. We've got an ordinance. Will you review it? Will you a phone call, do some research on something? So that's a bucket that we can charge to. Energy aggregation. So we run the energy aggregation program. So for all the communities that participate in that, that's dues funded as well. So those are the real primary areas where it goes.
You bring up a good point too, because I don't know how this information gets distributed, if it's an email just with the chart, but the write-up saying where the money is going might help some towns, right? With $300 difference or whatever. Because everything you mentioned is helping these towns with the dues. So
You think so?
maybe, how do you usually just tell this, they just get the chart, off they go? Here's the new
They don't
funds,
get the
good luck.
chart.
It's really
Then
not
the
in
chart.
here. It doesn't break.
Oh, okay, I was just saying, but if you could at least explain, write a letter explaining what the dues are for.
We
and
do
how
have a
they're used.
spreadsheet that does show where it goes. We just didn't.
Yeah, maybe we'll work on that on the executive committee, rights. That would probably have. They can explain it to their boards why it's.
Kim, can I also note that also the annual reports that NRPC provides to each community in December, January for the town's annual reports does summarize the work that we do that is dues related and project related.
Okay.
So
All right.
so that's a good narrative.
All right, I'll
if
point
you
them to
will.
that.
And some of the ones that do have dollar amounts associated with them, like GIS, the town reports, and things of that nature, are encompassed there.
All right, I'll get the annual report. So, give them the information to look. All right. Yes.
This is probably an item for the executive committee, but whenever I see something like this, I think, all right, so what is it you're not doing you'd like to be able to do for towns? It's not reflected in the budgeting or in what's being funded by the dues.
We'd like
You're
to
about to
write
do a
even.
grant, for example, you're about to do a grant writing workshop, right? That thing just got launched. What if NRPC had a really rigorous grant writing, grant development, grant eligibility, clearinghouse, navigation capability that towns could dip into and take advantage of? There's so much out there, it's so hard to navigate what that stuff is. And I know, I mean, you just picked up a phone and called me from time to time, so is Matt, right? And said, hey, you ought to try this one. It's a long shot wonder. But if that engine existed within NRPC, that's just an example of something that's not really being done right now that I think could conceivably be really, really valuable to the group. So it's a question for the executive committee.
We recently went through at the executive committee level and part of the review and goal setting, went through the strategy list, whatever the hell that document is called.
Strategy.
Thank you. And it was kind of an eye opener when Kate went through and, this was something that was identified as a priority, but we haven't been able, we and our PC staff haven't been able to work on it because we don't have the staff. Or, going through, and there are a lot of things that have been identified that, again, are part of the mission.
Yep.
And part of the priority set, but because of staffing and funding and grants. But you asked, what would we like to do that we're not doing?
So you already
That's
know.
an example of it,
So you already know.
right in that list.
Well, this email just went out on the grant writing assistance, right?
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
That was one of your goals. So, yes, I might go to it. I have to reach out. So,
It'd be interesting to know what
Yeah,
that
this is some of that.
things that you aren't able to get to because of staffing.
I mean, you raise a good point because what Janet's alluding to
What have I
is
said?
it's gone through the statement of strategy because we track it to see kind of where we are. Obviously, if we didn't, it wouldn't be a worthwhile, document. And what have we accomplished? What have we accomplished? And there's kind of like little summaries in it. So I think that's something we could polish up, pretty up, and we could share. I think it'd be good for everybody to see.
I think Kate did a fairly nice 1 or 2 pager.
Yeah.
That certainly can be distributed or updated to the current time.
And in some cases where we haven't done, been able to do as much as we wanted to, that's noted, and funding constraint, like you noted, is one.
I know, and as the executive committee, one of the things we always encourage is staff development. We don't want to lose the good people we have to other places. But staff development at times can get very expensive. If it's something they can drive to in Concord, that's easy. If it's a conference in Minneapolis they have to fly to, it can get very expensive. So those kind of opportunities have kind of been curled back a little bit just because of the expense.
And my understanding is that all the planning commissions are virtually identical in terms of the services that they provide, but they
No.
have a different emphasis. Like this one is, the emphasis is on transportation, but they're relatively the same in terms of the services they provide.
Could you repeat that? Literally, this machine over here.
Oh,
makes
I'm
it very
sorry,
difficult
I'm
to hear.
usually too loud. Okay, so my assumption is that the structure and the services that the other planning commissions provide are very similar to each other around the state. And that some have different emphasis, like we have an emphasis on transportation in this one. Is that true?
So it's partially true. There's certain things that all of the planning commissions do. Probably the biggest similarity is here between the four that are the MPOs, four larger ones. So we are a lot more similar than what we call the rurals. So that is true. But yeah, and then yes, there are different areas that we emphasize. So all of us, of course, do a regional housing needs assessment. All of us do a regional plan.
Yeah, in terms of the data collected.
Yeah,
probably,
and things like circuit riding, almost all of us do that. There's give and take. We have a much stronger GIS program than, any other planning committee. So that's area of depth, right? So that's our priority.
Everybody else has to use Granite.
Yeah. So there are some differences, some will emphasize, not surprisingly, just given the nature, North Country Council does things differently than we do. But yeah, there is a lot of similarity.
My reason for bringing that up, and again, it's an executive committee thing, is when you look at that list of things we wish we could do, are there resources that could be shared between planning commissions to actually create a center of expertise that could be shared?
We talked about that
We
also.
talk about it and try it.
Sorry,
on
never mind.
multiple Levels.
No, you're right.
Just talked about it tonight.
We did.
And some things,
Thank you.
as we discussed tonight, move slowly. So you gotta take the short-term approach while looking at the long-term solution.
Right. Our transportation model being one of those things that we've talked about, having a unified model, moving that forward seems to be a very, very difficult thing to do. But yeah, it's definitely, we've also talked about periodically among the regional planning commission sharing staff. So
For development reasons too.
right, and for a wide variety of reasons that hasn't happened, but we've talked about it. Theoretically, it makes sense. We do a little bit of sharing. We actually have one GIS person now helping out the Southern Hampshire Planning Commission because they're down in Bergen. So, so we're doing a little bit of that, and that's actually a really great thing. That's the first time we've done that, where we've actually shared one of our people.
Well, my thanks to the executive committee, obviously, you're on it.
Doesn't mean we solved it.
Well, maybe you're asking the wrong questions.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
I will make a motion that the full commission approves 5% increase for the fiscal year 2028 dues.
Second.
Okay, first and second, last chance for any discussion. All right. Although, well, let's roll call, right? Chris?
I second the person who spoke about the amazing GIS capability and functionality. I do a lot of stuff across the state, and I am constantly frustrated. The GIS team at NRPC is awesome, and 5% is the least we can do, if nothing else, to support that. So my answer is yes to the 5%.
Thank you. Jason?
No.
Okay.
An enthusiastic yes.
Ditto, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Great.
No.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Action item, election of members to the executive committee.
We were gonna defer that.
Yes, that's the one we're looking at the booth, right?
Do it in
You want a motion
September.
to defer?
I'll make the motion to defer the election of members to the executive committee till the September meeting of the full commission.
Second.
Discussion.
Why?
The reason we're doing that is because we need to go through the data again in terms of when people started on and started off. The spreadsheet looks a little
There's some
wonky right now.
inconsistencies in the data.
That's all.
We'll get it straightened out. But we're gonna go ahead and elect the officer.
All right, we got a roll up vote on this one though. All right, so first and second, discussion was why the spreadsheet looked a little off, right, on the dates.
Who was the second on that?
I had John.
John.
Yule.
Thank you.
All right, Chris. We're voting to defer the election of members to the executive.
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
Yes, so.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Good data.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
Good feeling.
Another action item, election of 2025 executive committee officers or 26? Got the wrong.
Oh, sorry, I should say 20. Should say 27.
So heard us at our last meeting.
As amended.
So that should be.
FY 27.
The executive committee currently, we have Kim Queenan is the chair, Janet is the treasurer, and Jason Hennessy is the vice chair. They have all agreed to continue their positions if the commission so wishes.
Good discussion.
That's the recommendation from the nominating committee.
Correct.
Tim, if you want to come back and join us, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, you're retired now. You got plenty of time.
Yeah, I should have brought my hat in that says I'm free, I'm retired. And it says I'm free to do what my wife tells me. to do.
And those, the three towns that represent, I know Janet's
Milford Field.
Milford, Amherst, and Litchfield.
Cool. So I'll move the recommendation of the nominating committee.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? Did you want to elaborate on that? I mean, I understand different sized towns, right? Is that what you're, we're asking?
Yeah,
Is that deep point? Yeah,
Diversity.
I understand that.
good thing.
All right, it's all quiet. All right, no hands up there. Okay. All right, Chris,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Yes, and thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
yes.
Yes.
Nominate yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
Very easily.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right. All right, next item, the bylaws. Potential amendments.
So was it the intent to have potential amendments in this copy of the bylaws?
I'm not sure necessarily in this copy, but I do believe that Jason Hennessy has a recommended change.
Yeah, that requires a read ahead. So we can hear it, but we can't vote on it tonight.
Right.
What was that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the air conditioner. What did you say?
Yeah,
So-
it's not on as an,
Right.
action item.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would very much like though to get whatever the proposal, if we're really proposing something, red line document or whatever in advance.
Jason, I know you'd suggested amendment, if you want to speak to it.
Yeah, so so thanks. By the way, I apologize for leaving. I had a cough that wouldn't go away, so I figured it was more courteous to everybody to head out. Yeah, so I'd like to get a sense of the commission. In the bylaws, we have this nominating committee, but in the several years I've been serving, there's never actually been a nominating committee. And so my thought was, well, why don't we make the bylaws match actual practice and just get rid of the nominating committee, make it the executive committee nominates the executive committee members as well as the officers. And then also to make sure that we don't end up, and every couple of years we end up in the situation where we don't actually have enough executive committee members at the MPO meeting. And so then we end up having to nominate someone from the floor. And so my thought was, well, why don't we try to stick with the bylaws? Well, update the bylaws to reflect practice and so allow nominations from the floor. So I just would like to get some feedback from folks, what you think about that.
That makes perfect sense to me.
I actually think it's helpful to have a nominating committee because other than just, talking about the officers and that, when we have opening, a nominating committee is really good relative to reaching out and having an official group from the executive committee reaching out to the rest of the membership in order to solicit new members for the executive committee. So I think there's a dual functionality there.
Are they performing a function of doing a lot of background checks?
No, they're not
people
doing
and
background
references,
checks.
Things like that?
No,
No. I mean, they're not collecting additional information.
No,
no, but they're giving a personal touch as opposed to an email coming out from Jay. It says, hey, the executive committee needs some members. Anyone interested? And that's really usually the purpose of a nominating committee.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's just that in the years I've been serving, we've never actually had one.
Well, if you consider that
Go ahead, Tim.
the executive committee is the nominating committee, then we do have one because we just did that this evening.
So that was the change I was thinking to make, was just to change nominating committee to executive committee.
Aha.
So,
Where is
if I may, so if you're interested in what we're talking about, there is an article that speaks to the nominating committee in the bylaws. And I'll say, as the chair of the executive committee in the past, I would say it was my mistake not to utilize a nominating committee to bring in executive committee members, because Janet hit the nail on the head. The nominating committee, the idea of that is to have members outside of the executive committee recommend or solicit or identify people that could serve on the executive committee and bring in that outside voice, as well as support all the work that the executive committee does by offloading that need to other members of the commission, other commissioners within the NRPC. So I'll apologize now for not having really followed through in the past. And I, as Jason has seen, what I did as chair, since the chair nominates the nominating committee or sets it up, is I just automatically said, everyone on the executive committee, you're now the nominating committee. And I defaulted to that. And I think that was a bad practice.
And it could be either, it could be a mix of either.
Right.
The way this is written, it's very open.
Yeah.
And I think I like your idea of expanding, having both groups.
Yeah, but I will say though, I think we want to change the way we have the bylaws, because right now it says the chair creates the nominating committee and that's it. I think we should make the nominating committee a formal committee of the NRPC, like TTAC is a formal committee in our bylaws, and have that be a committee that we put together. And whether it be 3 people or 5 people or 5 commissioners, which could be executive committee members or not, I think we should update the bylaws to make that a standing committee that's always in place versus making it the executive committee and defaulting to that team to essentially nominate themselves.
So maybe executive committee members should not be part of the nominating at all. Make it completely
Well,
separate.
if it's a committee that we vote on to put together, right? So if people self-recommend them to the nominating committee and then we as a commission approve that or not, I think it's up to whatever whoever is present at that meeting to say yes or no. So it could be executive committee members or not. Ideally, it's not.
Yeah, ideally
Right.
it's not.
Yeah,
It's
right.
it's more, it's different work.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And it's, I wouldn't call it a conflict of interest, but it kind of edges in that direction, right?
To a point,
You know, I think
to nominate ourselves.
Right.
Sounds like.
I think it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
I think every other organization I work for, they may not have an executive committee. They have a leadership team.
Yeah.
And often a member of the leadership team is part of the nominating committee, at least one of them. Just by default of who in the smaller group, and this is not a huge group by any means either, you know, is available and willing to do the work.
Let a nonprofit operate that way.
Right, it's still, it would still be a proposal that
Yeah,
needs
yeah,
to
no,
be
but it
done.
says it's appointed by the chair. Maybe it'll be appointed by the committee. Not just the chair. I don't know. Right now it's appointed by the chair, so it's gonna be a nominee.
No, he's creating a standing committee.
Mhm.
Right, that.
Separate from-
He
Are
wants
you
to
saying
do away, he
separate?
wants to change that stipulation.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We have to change that because right now it says the
It's
chair.
would entirely be changed. It would be a standing committee like TTAC.
So Jason,
We just fought with people being on the executive committee in the past. We never had enough numbers. I think that's kind of why we.
well, I didn't do due diligence. I just self-appointed the full executive committee. So that was my fault. I shouldn't have, that was a bad practice on my part.
But if I remember when I was new here, because I was trying to figure it out for years, what I actually did here. Who was the gentleman from Pelham who was in real estate?
Dave Hennessy.
And he would be over here and just say, hey, does anybody want to join? You know, it would just be thrown out there on the floor, right? It wouldn't be a nominating.
No, he was part of a nominating committee.
Oh, was that actually a nominating?
Was
it? So the rules were different when he
No,
was
we
here?
we used to, it was all executive committee members, but we had a subsection, I think there were usually three of us
Changing something.
that got appointed as a nominating committee.
Oh, I thought it just went out to the floor. Hey, anybody want?
Well, that's because no one ever wanted to be on the executive committee, so
Go back when we were.
Yeah, and if it,
beg and plead.
if it's any defense, you know, when I first started doing this, we were in the middle of COVID and we weren't even meeting in person, so it was just
Yeah.
easier to name the executive committee than nominating committee. But if Jason Hennessy is open to the idea, he and I can confer over the next month or two and make a proposal for the next meeting.
That sounds good.
Go for it.
Great.
Thanks for the feedback, everyone.
Close that out. It's very helpful to have some members of the executive committee be on the nominating committee because the rest of you don't know what happens on the executive committee. And you could pick the guy who sits here and doesn't say a word.
It wouldn't be you.
Bravo, Kermit, bravo.
I like it here because people listen to me.
Like at home.
I'm having an argument with the Heritage Commission because I restore antique buildings and they're dissing my input on the Heritage Commission. Restoring our town hall. I love it here. You all very supportive.
So Kim,
Yes.
on a slightly different note, I think we do need a small change to the bylaws because it speaks to our meeting frequency is quarterly and we've gone to 5 meetings a year now. So I think we have a minor administrative update there.
And it also mentioned that the full permission was like 8 times or something a year. Just want to make sure we still are 8 with our new
Executive.
schedule. No, I thought it was like, one of them was also 8 months. I just wanted to make sure.
Executive commission, we had at least 8.
Okay, so we should be okay with that.
Yeah, in practice, it's more like 11.
It's 11.
Yeah, okay, I thought it was the full. Just so everyone, just for transparency, I had asked Janet, just so she knows, on Article 8A about $1,000 threshold on the checks, you know, if it needs another signature, but you're happy with that? I didn't know if we had some checks started 1,200 or 1,500 or with inflation, if it'd be bigger with than 1,000, but you're okay leaving it at
I think based on the audits that we've had and input from the auditors, I think 1,000 is very appropriate. And in terms of the meeting stuff, I mean, this could be as simple as adding at least. The meeting frequency, you know, it may not be a big heavy lift. by any
It
means.
says, yeah, exactly, it says at least.
I just wanted to put the 1,000 out there as being transparent, as I asked.
So maybe it's the homework assignment. For those people who are really interested, Madam Chair, maybe they take bylaws home with them and put them in the pills.
I they can do that.
See if they want to make any changes and throw it back at us.
I actually was interested in one other one, but maybe there's a reason it's there. Let me find it. I circled the word all. I think it was on the last page. Removal. On the last page, up at the top is B, removal. Remove the executive director by a majority vote of all. So a majority vote of all, or should I say all? I wasn't sure. Majority vote of all. I mean, we all have to be present in the room to make the vote? Or does it mean all have to say goodbye to, I don't know, that's what I mean, we might have to clarify that.
I'm not sure we're all to be there.
A majority vote,
Maybe it's, I mean, if you're looking
or could it
for.
be all the executive committee, or should it just be, everybody has to be there and then you vote?
Well, Tim, why don't you take that on too?
See what happened?
It means that
bylaws.
however
Yeah.
many people are present, there has to be a majority of all commissioners.
You need a majority vote of all the commissioners. In the room, all present commissioners.
Not all,
Well, that's-
not all present.
Yeah, yeah,
All.
with the quorum.
We have a
Means
quorum.
every single commissioner that's appointed has to be part of the decision to get rid
That's
of
what
the
I thought.
executive
Has to be a
director.
majority of them.
Yeah.
They don't, yes, whether they're here or
See if we
not,
can
right.
work on it.
100% attendance. Take it as your.
I thought we all had to
We have
say,
14.
you know.
Should be
unanimous.
Okay.
No, rid of them.
You have to have at least 8 in a row.
It's good to review the bylaws, really.
I had one thing on meetings that
Sorry,
I'll
yeah.
just throw out for people to think about and you can go back and write it up or not. I would love a meeting that was devoted to just sharing among towns. We would have to probably give it a little bit of structure, so it didn't end up some kind of weird free-for-all. We do, what, 8 minutes at the end of a meeting where we go around the table? It's very not satisfying to me.
I actually think that's a great idea, but I don't think it has anything to do with the bylaws.
Well, I
I
was
think in
thinking
practice,
we could
we
just,
could take a meeting and instead of having a guest speaker
yeah,
and make that the main topic of the meeting. Or,
that's
you know,
one way to go.
That middle ground.
Where we actually say there's one meeting devoted each year to that kind of sharing. So it's
Well,
all
this
about
goes-
towns.
This goes back to the mission and vision work we did at Riviera a number of years ago when we all talked about having a whiteboard or some way to communicate between all of our communities of, you know, what's the hot topic in your town? Because over here, this town may have the same hot topic too, and let's all talk together.
Well, we could do a listserv thing for that.
I know.
And we're doing that with some of the conservation commissions with NHACC has it's called the Exchange. But it's basically listserv and towns are all jumping in there and helping each other out and giving them references and back and forth, and it's incredibly valuable and it's free. I don't know.
Yes.
Would there be 91A implications to that?
Well, commissioners are all the conservation commissioners are appointed. And they can participate in listserv. They're not making decisions on part of their towns. They're
Yeah,
taking
isn't-
information back.
Is Plan Lake covered by 91A?
I am always uncomfortable if a majority of people on a board are communicating on anything that might be within there. So that it's a good question.
I mean, they're essentially, many of those people there are public servants representing their communities. It's fine.
Because unfortunately, there seems to be occurrences of people in various parts of the state basically weaponizing 91A.
No. Right. Correct.
You've been to our town recently, haven't you?
You don't have to go far.
I mean, I can definitely say I have seen instances where board members have made comments on social media, and that has definitely come back.
That's all, yeah. The intention of it.
So listserv, probably the same. Yeah, interesting thought.
I mean, so don't get me wrong, I'm all for the idea of collaboration and idea sharing. I just think we need to, be aware of the times in which we live.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would go back to actually doing it in the spring.
Right.
Devoting a meeting or adding a meeting that was just about the towns.
Right. You do that. We also didn't used to have tip amendments on every agenda. Not complaining.
91A, Google says, is the US Army's occupational specialty. An Abrams tank system maintained.
We could use one of those.
RSA.
The Google.
So other business. By 8:15.
All right, so I'll try to be quick. So regional plan update. I think everybody knows we're in the process of updating a regional plan. We had at one point targeted this meeting for approval. We realized that was not possible. So we are going to be targeting September. In reviewing the statute, which I should have done a long time ago, our adoption process is rather onerous. So we have to, of course, hold a public hearing, which we were aware, but we are also subject to a 30-day public comment period. We also have to send a copy of the regional plan. I think we're going to go with the executive summary and the QR code to every select board, city council, board of aldermen in the region, every planning board. We have to send it also to the Office of Planning and Development for their review and comment, and every library. And we have to address all of the written comments that we receive. So
Where is that defined?
Are you doing that
Statute.
digitally? Because your
In
post is only
statute?
500
Yes.
bucks.
For the regional plan?
3647.
Right, and we have to post notice of our public hearing in every newspaper of general circulation. in the region.
Oh, my God.
I know, it's a lot. So
Don't forget the Monadnock Ledger,
I will
because that's a
not
really
write
good
that
paper.
down.
We're not.
definitely not.
Yeah, it would.
Also fortunately, it's cheaper than some, but
It
we have to
is.
get them all, so we'll do them all. So we also want to have a realistic time to actually respond to comments and explain how we're going to address them. So our target is to have our notices posted no later than July 31st with a return August 31st, close the comment period. That would give us at least 2 weeks before the full commission meeting in September to synthesize and address any comments that we receive before the public.
Is the draft version ready now?
Not entirely, it will be though.
Will you send it out to us?
Yeah, we'll send you,
As
we're
soon
gonna
as
send
it's
you,
available?
we'll send you links. So right now we have 6 of the chapters are posted right now on the Engage site. So that's where we're putting it. 2 more will be shortly. And then we've got the kind of executive summary. So those will all be up there. We will probably try to send them to the Office of Planning and Development sooner than the end of July, but that's our latest. As we expect they will. And we want to give them enough time to do that.
Have they commented in the past?
I don't know, because the last time we did it was 2014, was 2014. It was, but I don't know if they commented, but I can look.
Matt, do you remember?
I don't.
Slightly ironically, they're supposed to comment based on consistency with the state plan, which hasn't been adopted or updated in decades. So I don't know when it was last done. So that'll be a challenge, but nevertheless, we'll proud to them for coming.
You would think you should probably reach out to your peers, make sure they're all aware of this as well, and then all 9 of you, go to the Office of Planning and Development and say, guess what, guys, look what's coming.
Yeah, in fact, we have, there was actually a coordinated call, so all of us are going to use the same process. We've all agreed that sending out, a few hundred pages to everyone is just too unwieldy, so it will be executive summary with QR code.
You only have $500 in your budget for postage.
Yeah, I know. We don't want to do that, so.
Links work.
Yeah,
Right.
you can do it digitally, right? You're not gonna have to do hard copy.
We can do it digitally. For a library, I think having a physical copy at a library where at least of the executive summary, I think in each library makes sense. The towns probably don't want. I'm assuming.
I hate to say this. Well, but it's not that bad a thing to say, because there's only 13 communities.
Right.
But you might want to reach out to libraries instead of just sending them a copy. We have the in-house ability to do a little display, a little poster.
We do.
To actually maybe kind of try to educate people that walk into the library that, hey, there is an NRPC and we do a regional plan and here it is, and here's a QR code to the links. If you don't want to sit here and read this hard copy we're providing, maybe a little bit more. I don't know if you do that. If you do it already, it's already in the plan, great. But I don't think I've ever seen one like that at the libraries in my area.
I don't think we've ever done that, but that's a good idea.
It goes up on the Engage site, right?
Just the library.
Oh, good. Yeah, because that's where you really want to.
I think, printing out a couple of posters, whatever, is not that expensive in-house.
Right.
It's kind of a straightforward, simple task. I know you can do QR codes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a good thought. Right.
The recycle center.
Well, I think that's it for.
Yep, the dump. And the other thing, oh Jesus, sorry. Again, I saw how small the marketing budget was. So I'm trying to use our towns. Anybody who's got local access television. GTM in Milford, I'm pretty sure Amherst just can do something. Besides just putting it on getting it on town websites, you can get it out there with a slide.
I don't think we've ever done that either.
I know work in Wilton or Limeboro, but I work in some of the other towns.
Certainly Merrimack, Hudson, that's true.
We can promote it by a live stream of a select board meeting, like permits. Hold it up.
The poster.
Yeah.
Have a giant QR code, hold it up.
Go to the Engage site.
And Tommy Schultz.
Beside him, not.
There you go.
All right.
Okay, any other comments on the regional? How long, they're supposed to be done how many years?
5.
They're supposed to be done every 5 years?
Yeah, we acted it 12 years ago.
So is that different from the towns? Because I thought the towns were every 10 years was the requirement.
5-year updates for the towns too.
Is it really?
Nobody does.
Massive license.
Yeah, 5 years.
Can't be.
All right, so other updates then.
That's it.
I did want to mention, NRPC, as you may know, is in the process of updating our website, just a little refresh to make it look pretty. So we're hoping to have that launching sometime in July. Sarah and I and a group of people have been working on that. It's looking really good. So we're just putting those final touches on it. So hopefully it'll help you find things easier. The other thing I wanted to mention, a couple of people mentioned the new grant writing assistance program. I'm sure you all got the email, but if you click on the attachment, it has this poster that explains a little bit more about the different levels of tiered support that are available. Don't mind my lunch that made a big spot on it on the bottom there. But yeah, no, it's a very exciting program that we're happy to get out there. That's it.
Thank you. The website is one of your line items in your budget. Where's that captured? 'Cause managing a website, especially the one you have, is so robust right now.
Well, this refresh actually is something that was included in our initial contract with Revise, who hosts our website. They, as part of hosting it, they offer a refresh every certain number of years. We're not sure how many people take advantage of that, but we are.
Good.
Yeah, it's looking really good.
Now, I just wondered where Revise was in the budget. Where's that captured?
Years ago.
Kate, my note, I think it's
Yeah.
professional services, or is it subscriptions?
Revise would be under subscriptions for their annual website hosting. Not included in this budget, but if we were to need to budget for an additional refresh, that would likely be budgeted for under professional services. But what we're currently paying is under subscriptions, dues and subscriptions.
Because aren't you having to do a whole overhaul with the accessibility stuff, the Fed law?
Well, that got moved out, that deadline. The deadline was originally for April 24th of this year.
Right.
And they moved out that deadline to next calendar year. Their Revise in itself has their websites be designed to be accessible, so there wasn't too many changes to do with the overhaul. But yeah, we've been staying on top of trainings and trying to keep that momentum going because we really think that is so important to meet all of those accessibility
They're
standards.
one of the ones we're looking at for our new website for this town too. So, good to know. You like them?
There's pros and cons.
We'll uncover those.
Yeah, always happy to talk about it with it.
We use them in Brookline as well.
You do? You like them?
Oh.
Yeah. That's a resounding.
Salem said pros and cons.
Okay.
Yeah. Their tech support, I have to say, is fantastic. Every time I submit something that, I see something wonky and I can't figure it out, they're on top of it and very quickly and very responsive, very thorough. So that's a pro. Because not good tech support is not ideal.
So do you want to do the commissioner roundtable?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Want to start, Chris?
I'm gonna defer to Janet, who somehow managed to put 28 hours into a 24-hour day.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Chris. Jason?
I'll defer as well.
Hey, all right. Yeah, right.
So, I've been, I just finished, the, UNH Outdoor Academy. It was outdoor, economics is kind of the way they're looking at it. And I'm curious as to what other towns are doing with TIF districts. In order to fund some of these projects. We went to Nashua, it was fantastic. We went to Plymouth to take a look at what was happening up there. But I've found that from an economic point of view, all the money that is spent by tourists and people that are coming in to really kind of the outdoor economy, if you will, is a design center for our towns now. And we're really looking at, it's not just river walks, but public gathering places and things that really create a sense of community. But there's a whole economic piece to that and a public health piece to that I think is really interesting. I will provide some of the information and some of the resources that were gathered as part of the UNH extension that did this thing as part of one of their academy series. It's a brand new program. Hopefully they'll do it more. If they do, I really invite people to take advantage of the 3 days and they'll do 3 different cities than they did this time. But the financial piece of it is really interesting as to what that can do and bring to a town. And also what that does for the people in your community, especially aging communities. to get people outside all times of the year. But you have to provide the draw to do that. And how do you fund those projects? And how do you weave that into everything you're trying to do with infrastructure and housing and all the rest of it? It was a fascinating program. So Shannon Rogers, if anybody knows her, PhD with UNH, that's doing this as part of their Academy series. Outdoor economy, baby. That's the way to do it. Go ahead. That's it.
Yeah, I'll defer as well.
I'll report on our election results. I probably should have done last meeting, but I didn't. So in addition to the fire engines and all that kind of stuff, the highlights from my perspective were, the town voted to appropriate a sum of $500,000 for Robinson Pond improvements, which would primarily be a boat ramp area, and $250,000 would come from town taxes, and $250,000 would come from state land water conservation fund. Hopefully. The next one, Route 102 sidewalks. We have a great 1.5 mile long unfinished sidewalk in Hudson that goes from Mount Hannaford to the Auburn High School, with significant gaps and rather significantly dangerous areas. So the town voted to raise an appropriate sum of $2 million for the design and construction of new sidewalks along that section I was referring to. 1.6 would come from DOT, which we just talked about. And then 400,000 would come from our corridor funds that we've collected from several folks. They get good by the claim. We voted to revise the Benson Land Capital Reserve Fund. So capital projects, usually new things, right? We're allowing that money to also be used for the maintenance and repair of existing buildings. So, our gorilla cages, our elephant barns, all that stuff left over Hudson, which we've been preserving. There's some additional money to preserve that. And of course, we approved the state changes to ADUs and family daycare and home section. I thought the vote differential was pretty significant there. Obviously we have a lot of voters that don't vote in these elections, but we had 2,011 voted for the ADUs versus 632 voted against it. And then for the family daycare, we had 1,885 approve it and 768 vote against it. So, and then the last one, we have a section in town called the TR zone. This area in town where lot size is minimum lot size is 10,000 square feet. Mostly lots in that area are 10,000 square feet. And over the years, we had put originally all the setbacks for the same setbacks we use for every other size lot, and it was really restrictive for these areas. So we've been slowly opening them up, and this year the voters approved to tighten up the front setback. So, and because many of the houses in the TR zone violate what was currently in place, just to make it more livable in that area. And it's a higher density area. So we're trying to make that. Great. That's what I've got.
Thank you.
Merrimack, we're just, one of the issues we're wrestling with, and it's probably good for all the other communities to hear about it, is in 2029, the DOT and the state is going to hand us Continental Boulevard. We currently have Continental Boulevard from exit 11 to Industrial Drive, which is about 1.5 miles of a 4 or 5 lane road. They decided that they didn't want any more, and that this was something that Merrimack should have. So they are going to give it to us. The estimated cost to us as a town is about $750,000 extra a year in taxes just for maintenance, and that doesn't cover redoing drainage or anything that comes out over the next decade or so. The issue being is that if they can do that to us, they can do that to any town they want when they decide. And that's something our state reps have been trying to make a case up there, not with a lot of success. It's not done yet.
there may be a legal fight, but it really is something to think about. And I think there's a lot of communities, a lot of state reps up in Concord that are like, hey, this isn't my problem, this is Merrimack, and you guys will have to deal with it. It could be your problem someday. If they decide that, think about a state-owned road in your community, if they decide, well, our budget's tight and so forth, and we're gonna give it to you guys now. So that's an interesting, go ahead.
Who owns 3A? 3A.
Create number. You create Litchfield.
They-
Oh, you're talking about Route 3.
Yeah, the one that comes up by Buckley's,
Yes.
that's the one I want.
Yeah, 3. The state takes Route 3 to Greeley Street.
Okay,
So National Line to Greeley Street, and then from Bedford Road, which landmark would be if you know Merrimack and all, Walgreens, the Homestead Restaurant to the Bedford line. So they do have those. And they have exit 11, not exit 11, exit 10, the interchange by the outlet.
okay.
So yeah, I just figured I'd throw that out there. Something to consider, maybe talk to your state reps if they can do it to us. Might be able to do it to you. Thank you.
But it's a gift.
Just make sure they get that work done at the mouth of Continental Boulevard, please.
Seems to take forever, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little drainage issue there.
So, so Merrimack has moved our fireworks to the Colesman site. So if anyone comes to Merrimack to see the tremendous fireworks and it being Happy Birthday America year, just realize that we'll be making lots of noise somewhere else than normal.
Budweiser, if you don't know where Colesman is.
Yeah.
Budweiser.
Budweiser, yeah.
Well, what was Budweiser?
And our parade is gonna run backwards this year, meaning it's gonna start at the end and finish at the beginning, so.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Going in reverse with everything?
Yeah.
At least with the march, yeah, exactly. Well, the marchers will get to march downhill now, because a significant portion is uphill, so we'll be very happy. The old cars with a clutch and gears will be really happy. Yeah, so there's a benefit there. That's all I have.
Farmers markets have started up in Pelham every Saturday. If you'd like to come down, that's always a fun day. And our community garden is up and running again at Merriam Farm, next to our all-person travel. Back up. Our second year.
Amherst, not a lot, it's kind of a slow time of year, but something pretty big did happen. The Board of Selectmen, we did have a grant for a piece of a rail trail that we ended up voting a no build. There were several reasons. A lot of issues for abutters and the Conservation Commission, which actually had a piece of that. So we ended up with a no build, so maybe some of you are getting that money that we turned down. So depending on who you talk to, I'm a hero or the worst person in Amherst.
Meaning you're keeping the rail. We're what? Meaning you're keeping the rail? Instead of doing a rail trail?
Yeah, a lot of it's privately owned, so that was one of the main issues.
Yeah, Danielle, I wanted to say that we have been looking into whether the town of Amherst can take that funding from that no build and use it on another similar, non-motorized project. So we were asked to do that.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It sounds
I
like,
haven't heard those planned yet.
well,
Chica,
yeah, I
we have
don't-
a little of it over in Milford to kind of finish that sidewalk from Amherst all the way into Milford.
Oh, Milford, yeah, we still have a grant from the red light to up by the disco. So that's another.
Okay, so-
We still have other grants.
We were trying to share.
No, I'm fine with that. The more the merrier. I thought you had issues under that road though.
We've got a lot of issues on our road.
Apparently not anymore. It's amazing how the story changes from, every 3 years or so, right? Yeah. Joe, behind you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was late to the meeting today, and the reason is that we had to have two special meetings in Hollis for the school districts. And I guess the cautionary tale is that the DRA looked at the warrants. We held the meetings back in March, and they were posted by the deadline, but the signatures weren't posted on the copies that went up. And the DRA subsequently looked into this, that they have to get the documents after the meeting. And it turned out that they rejected the appropriations that were made at that meeting. So we were at risk of getting to July 1st and having no money to spend. So I attended the first meeting, and the meeting was held to cure, the legal term is to cure the defect in the meeting, in the notice. So that passed. I voted at the second meeting. I expect that that will have passed also, but I kind of ran right here after that. The other thing going on in Hollis is we do have our 250th celebration, and July 11th, we will be having our fireworks display for that. So looking forward to it. That's it. Okay.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
In Lineborough, it's been a very quiet few months, and we have relatively little to report. So move on.
Okay. Litchfield, well, not on the Board of Selectmen anymore to get all the information that I used to have, so I have to reach out before the next meeting, but we have our Strawberry Festival this Saturday from 11 to 2, Charles Bancroft Highway. So it'll be fun. The 250th is going along, planning. We have the first annual Natticook Passaconaway Memorial Powwow scheduled. They are going to come in. They are from all around the country to come in. And it's going to be a native, all of the Native American dance. So that's going to be interesting. And I think Warner, isn't there a group up there in Warner?
No, Pearson.
Yeah, that's who we reached out to, and they helped put this together with us. So our town has a lot with Passaconaway, our town seal, everything, everything. You know all the names that we have. So they were really impressed with that. And then we do also on the 250th on a different day. Oh, that powwow, which is, by the way, would be on what day? August 1st and 2nd. The July 25th and 26th, we also have the other part of our 250th birthday. We'll have tethered air balloons, which I can't believe it in an airspace is reserved, but lower balloons, petting zoo, I guess hay rides, dunk booth, all of that. So it's pony rides. It'll be fun. That's all I have to report.
You're gonna help me out with it.
Yes, I have one item.
So the voters in Milford decided that we came to the party for the 250th way too late asking for money on the warrant here. And town fathers started asking for $20,000 and it sank big time in March. So that unfortunately put our recreation department in a position where they really can't advertise that they're doing anything for the 250th because we know no means no. However, there's going to be a great event on June 27th at Keys Memorial Park, and it's going to be called the Keys Summer Bash. And I do believe that they're going to have a reading of the Declaration of Independence by a number of notary people from our town.
Led by Dave Alcock.
And led by Dave Alcock, who's a phenomenal individual, as well as touch a truck and food vendors and games and all kinds of stuff. It's gonna be great. But before that, because I really live in two towns, we're gonna go to Summerfest, which you can talk about. John, have you got anything else from Milford? Because I'm fresh out.
The only thing of note that's happened in the last 2 months is after more than a decade of work, we finally signed a conservation easement for what we used to call the Brock's property, conserving 70 some odd acres of land so we can
start the lawsuit process as we try to develop the rest of it. So I mean, that was actually a major achievement. We finally got somewhere, but it's gonna be a long road to develop the rest of it.
Unfortunately, the Brock's property, which was purchased by the town in order to basically stop some very early planned urban development in that area, and had some advantages for the town to own it over time, partly because of the conservation land, as well as land for school facilities, has been almost a bone of contention for 25 years now.
Yeah, probably.
And subject to a number of lawsuits by certain individuals in our community that have slowed down a lot of the process. We just call them the 91A Queen and King, but no names will be mentioned.
That was it?
There you go. Thank you.
Military.
You could use a tank.
It's about tank.
So in Wilton, some of the people, a number of the people who do the work are leaving. And the one that's the most connected to this one is our land use administrator, which puts work on the folks from NRPC. We also have a select board member who is moving to Arizona and for some reason doesn't want to drive back every 2 weeks for the meeting. I don't get that, but, and then we have another department head who is leaving, who we're not quite ready to announce, but all these folks are relatively new people, new elected or employed people. And so it's, people just don't do it forever like they used to. We did get our 250th event out of the way. We did it in early May. So sort of beat everybody else, I think. The downside was it was cold and wet, but you know, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of different events. We added some names to our Revolutionary War memorial. We honored people. So I think it was a good thing. We had a lot of people who attended.
Can I give you credit though for your 250th? That was spurred on by an all volunteer group.
It was.
You know, and they did an amazing job with the number of things that they pulled together in a relatively short period of time. You put a lot of the towns in the western side of the state of our region to shame. Good job.
And no town money was spent on it. It was all raised.
volunteer, all sponsored.
As Janet mentioned, this Saturday we're having our Wilton Summerfest, which is probably the biggest event that takes place in a usual year, independent of the 250th. And that's on Main Street in downtown Wilton, and there's lots of different things. And then at Carnival Hill, which is up the hill from there, we'll have fireworks in the evening. So if you have a chance, stop into Wilton and enjoy our Summerfest.
That's this Saturday, the 20th.
Saturday all day.
I'll defer to the nice gentleman who wrote that.
Thank you very much. Just real quickly, some updates on stuff from April. We've got our town hall staff relocated to the Brookline Business Center. So shout out to the Brookline Fire Department for donating their meeting room while we got the new space ready with alarm systems, computer cabling, and all that good stuff. On the subject of curing bonds, back in April, we mentioned that we had to cure the bond for removing Pierce Pond Dam in Brookline, which is on the state's red list, because it did not have the 5-year tax impact posted with the warrant article. You would think something administrative like that would not be controversial. Au contraire, there was like a 1-hour debate before we got to the 1-hour voting. So, but it passed.
You guys went 2 days, right?
Our town meeting went 2 days, correct? And then we had to come back to cure the bond for Pierce Pond Dam. And what else? And kind of tying into what Peter said, the proposal for the excavation project in Mason, just over the line from Brookline, that application drags on. It is now past the, because it was declared a development of regional impact, the period between accepting the application and taking action was 95 days, which expired back at the end of May, but at the last Mason Planning Board meeting, it has since been extended. So we're working with the Mason Road agent and the applicant to try to figure out how we're going to protect Mason Road through Brookline, which is their proposed haulage route for all the stuff they're gonna be digging out of the earth. And Peter, thanks for the warning, because a majority of Mason Road and the bridge by Lake Potanipo are maintained by the state. So if they decide that they are going to generously give that back to Brookline with this project, which, you know, don't know if it's going to be approved. I mean, it's an approved use in the district that it's proposed in and all that stuff. We could have interesting times in our future. So.
So question.
Yes, ma'am.
So when they hit Route 13, they gotta go north or south with those trucks?
So they will be going south to their the majority of the material is going to go to their processing plant in Sterling, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
So it'll go down 13
Sterling.
to Route to Route 2 to Interstate 190.
Thank you. I was just thinking about our lovely stone bridge in Milford, that's all.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Does anybody else want to add anything? Anything interesting at NRPC we need to know?
I think we've said enough. I do want to add that we have been providing some staff support, technical support to the town of Mason for that.
Yes. Yeah. Cassie is awesome. Yeah. Awesome to work with.
All right, let me just go back to the agenda here. All right, nobody have anything else, so
Motion to adjourn.
that's it.
Second.
Second.